Elon Musk was in Hawaii supposedly seeking advice from Oracle executive chairman and Tesla board member Larry Ellison. That's according to one of his tweets yesterday. Comes about a week after Musk revealed he had reached out to Apple's Tim Cook during the darkest days of Model 3 to discuss a possible acquisition. Let's bring in former Ford president and CEO Mark Field. Mark, I know it would be difficult for you to speculate what Elon Musk is thinking, but after the year that he is wrapping up, he's at the end of his quarter, up 700% in terms of stock price. What advice should he be seeking?
Well, obviously going to see Larry Ellison on his board. I mean, he could be seeking advice, anything from strategy to, hey, tell me about how you moved your headquarters of Oracle to Texas. But I think, given the year that they've had and the run up in the valuation of the stock and the company, some of the advice that I would give him, and he's probably thinking about, is first, in 2021, he absolutely has to focus with him and his team on execution to grow into the earnings or grow into the valuation of the company. He's got 2 plants under construction here in Austin and in Germany. He's got a number of products launching like the Cybertruck and the Roadster and the semi-truck. So focus on execution. Secondly, I would recommend that he continues to speed up battery and product innovation. There's a lot of competitors coming in next year. You have some new battery technology like solid state coming down the road in the next 5 years. So keeping that lead, both in battery technology, product, and software innovation, is going to be really important. Thirdly, I would also just prove to the market that you can actually make money on the base business of manufacturing, designing, and selling vehicles, and have more transparency on his margins net of these CO2 credits that he sells. And then finally, just think about, given the price of the stock, is there some interesting M&A that they can do, either snapping up a very innovative supplier, or you can even go to the other end of the spectrum and say, hey, is there an established OEM that they might want to acquire to bring them the manufacturing expertise that they may need?
That's an interesting idea. Mark, I mentioned the Apple conversation that Musk said that he had with Tim Cook, and this comes after news reports that Apple's getting into EVs. What's your reaction to Apple taking that on?
Well, at the surface, it's difficult to get into the car business. It's not like making a cell phone, and it could be a big stretch. But if you dig a little bit deeper, if you see some of the huge assets that they would bring to the car business, obviously battery expertise, software expertise, they know how to manage a supply chain and do it well. At its core, looking to Tesla, those are some of the things that have helped them be successful. And Apple may be looking at it and saying, hey, if you look at the whole approach for Tim Cook, it's around growing the business. And there's no bigger market, no addressable market that's as big as the car industry. It dwarfs the cell phone industry, for example. So he's looking for growth. But it's a very difficult endeavor. It's not like a cell phone. But if they align themselves with the right partners and suppliers, it could be done, although I doubt in the time frame that was told in the 2024 time frame. That's a little close, but it could be later than that.
Mark, when you consider some of the pledges, the rules introduced by certain European economies on electric vehicles by 2030 or by 2035, do you think that a Biden administration can or will do the same thing? And how quickly could that lead to driving more sales of EVs versus combustion engines in the short term?
Well, Wilfred, you're exactly right. In what drives EV sales around the world, first are government regulations, and secondly, government incentives. And when you look at China and when you look at Europe, they're very focused on that, and that's why the electric vehicle market is gaining as a percent of the whole market. I think here in the U.S., particularly in 2021, you're going to see pretty significant growth in EVs for a couple of reasons. One is the products are coming. Ford is coming out with their Mach-E. GM is coming out with new products. Volkswagen is coming out with an important SUV, electrified SUV. Secondly, I do think, to your point, the Biden administration will provide incentives to support their approach on the environment. When you combine that with more charging infrastructure that customers will see, and then lastly, what I call the neighbor effect is, when you start seeing your neighbors actually buying electric vehicles and a new technology, it almost then allows you to buy it as well, because you don't want to be viewed as, being left behind. Whereas now it's always been more of an experiment, and next year I think it's going to go more mainstream.
So how would you play that? How would you tell investors to think about it? Is it the traditional automakers, parts suppliers? Who are the winners?
Well, I think when you look at the major automakers, they're not just giving this market up. You have some very compelling products coming into the marketplace. Ford with their Mach-E, they're sold out. So there's going to be some competition there.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.